Welcome to Legends of the Inkwell. I'm Dakota.
And I'm Jackie. And today we get the privilege of talking to Brian, the Rat Courtade. He actually won the Chicago DLC, and he was a pleasure to talk to. So let's get into it.
Here we go.
All right. Well, today we get the honor of interviewing and chatting with the man, the myth, the legend, the Lorcana Challenge champion, Brian Courtade. Brian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Haven't done an interview in a while, so it should be fun.
We'll take it
Listen,
easy on you.
We're excited to have you. So let's start out with some background here. So, what is your TCG background? What have you played before? How long have you played TCGs? Things like that.
Yeah, so I got started with Yu-Gi-Oh! In probably like 2004-ish, 20 years ago. It's been a long journey. I played a little bit of Magic while I mostly played Yu-Gi-Oh! And then eventually around like 2011, I kind of swapped and only played Magic for a couple of years before eventually I played Hearthstone, which I did that for half a decade. I played some card games in there here and there, but basically since starting Hearthstone, hadn't played any physical card games until Lorcana.
Awesome.
And
Yeah, so definitely some
Lorcana,
experience there.
Yeah, I mean, in those games, I've always been competitive. In Hearthstone, in particular, it's a little bit different because it's kind of more of an esport than the traditional card games are. So there's a lot more traveling and pomp and that kind of stuff, which was awesome. So I got to see like a lot of the world doing that, which was incredible. Yeah, I basically say that everything in my life is as a result of playing card games, including my job, which I got through esports. So.
That's so cool. Living the dream.
Yeah.
So you said Lorcana is your kind of first game back to physical card games. What is your favorite card in Lorcana?
Probably either Ursula, Deceiver of All, or Prince Sean.
Good choices. I would accept old Bucky as well.
I will not accept Bucky.
I mean, I like Bucky, but not one of my favorite cards. I think that, even seeing Green Steel post Bucky now, the list that's popular being similar to the list Dale Bleedle played in Toronto, which was set 4 meta post Bucky. There's a lot of cards in that deck that are good other than Bucky. That's why I like the Ursula. Just being able to sing something twice it's not only good, but it's fun.
Yeah, I have that one in my deck.
It's a very interesting card. It's a game changer sometimes. If you had to choose your favorite Disney character, who would it be?
So I've been going back and watching some of them, the older movies. I answered before, and I think I said Mulan, but I'm starting to get an appreciation for some of the new movies. Maybe that'll change eventually, but that was one that I watched when I was younger with my mom, so it's a special
yeah,
place
Mulan.
for me.
Mulan's my girl. She's my princess, so I'll be through there. I mean, are you in general a Disney fan, or did you just pick up the TCG as a nice fresh game that seems good?
Yeah, the latter. I mean, I'm not a huge Disney fan by any means, but I've gone to the parks. Like I watch movies.
Yeah.
I'm I even when in particular, I like Pixar, so I'm excited for when they add that to the game. But anytime a new animated movie like that comes out, I'm watching. So I'm not a fan, but I'm not by any means that big of a fan. And having played Lorcana now for a while, I've met a lot of people who are big fans, and I just don't want to take away from their fandom. Like they're much larger Disney appreciators than I am.
Yeah, it gets pretty intense as I sit in front of my mini ear wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's not to say I don't have like somewhere in my house pins from when I went to Disney World when I was 11 or something, because they're in the house somewhere. But, yeah.
So a good, healthy appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
It's pretty safe to say that you're kind of a pro TCG player overall. We wanted to know a little bit about the research and stuff into gameplay, into the cards. what you kind of do to get your mind into the game, how much you put into it, weekly or monthly kind of thing.
Yeah, when there was an online client, I was playing a lot, like maybe not so much near like set four, but before set four, set three, set two, like, I'd played thousands of games on Pixelborn. I think that in general, it's kind of a huge advantage to have, got the games in that way when you can, or could have,
Mm-hmm.
versus like now it would be a monumental effort for somebody to get 1,000 games of Lorcana in. So that was a big help on top of, all of my other TCG background. One of the things that I've done well, at least in this game, is I've been playing the right deck-ish. I think people should stick to their own deck, and a lot of the decks have had success, without a doubt. But, I played a deck 3 cards off in Vegas from 1-1, a deck that was, I think, 3 cards off, maybe 2 cards. I think it was 3 cards off in Toronto, green yellow, and then in Dallas I played green steel again, which was the Bucky, still Bucky, and then the one before that was Chicago where I won, and then green steel was also. This happens to be the deck I've been playing. I play other decks, but it's been good. And yeah, I think that's made it a little bit easier to prep for events for me. It's like, oh, am I gonna play the thing I've been playing that I know really well, or am I gonna swap? So I don't think it's been too hard to, I guess, decide exactly which deck I want to play. But the cards in the deck and trying to figure out, the tech choices within the current green steel, the flex spots are you have some number of muses you can add or reduce from 2. You can move some hypnotizes around, maybe add more tinks, this type of thing. But there isn't. It takes a lot of games to actually figure out which of those is right. So I think the big thing for me is just that once you've decided on what you're going to play, you don't spend any more time like being concerned about what you didn't add in your deck or what have you during the actual tournament, and just be focused on the actual gameplay. Yeah, I mean, for now I play probably 8 hours a week, maybe like more like 10. But back then I was probably playing more like 40, something like
Sure.
that. It's like get done with my work and then start my other job, kind of. That's
Right.
kind of what it felt like for a while. But it wasn't really a job. I was really enjoying. I love the game. I think it's done very well and simple, but yet complex. It just had me hooked.
So you talked about switching some cards around inside of the green steel deck there. How far in advance of a tournament do you kind of lock your deck in and just start taking reps on that specific set of cards?
In Chicago, I went to bed and then I woke up and changed 9 cards in my deck for the tournament. Had tested both the versions, but I was just debating. And the main thing that I did there was the Flins. People like I had been playing the Flins. People weren't so sure, and then I put them back in, and that ended up being like a huge difference maker. Not only the Flynn 1-drops, but just the number of Flynn 4-drops too that I played. I think that it just depends on who you are and how much experience you have playing different decks. But like, surely I wouldn't decide to start playing something new, right before, especially if I have a lot of experience playing something else. For me, even though I played Green Steel a lot in the DLCs, I still practice with the other decks. And if other people need to play against the other decks, then like usually I'm the one who plays it. So it wouldn't be too big of a deal for me to swap, week of or something. For a lot of people, they don't have the time, and I think that being comfortable on whatever you're playing is really, really important. So assuming like the deck is in this game, I think there's like 6 different color combinations, so it's like your deck is good enough that maybe you could spend time just getting comfortable with it. And if you're already comfortable with one of those, trying to audible the other deck would have to be like a lot better. And I just don't see that as being the case, at least in the last 3 sets, where the best deck or the second best deck are so much better that you need to stop playing like these other decks. Whether it's in this meta, I think the best 2 decks are red, blue, and green steel. But amber steel, green, purple, blue steel, these are all decks you see red, purple, obviously. And they're all solid. I mean, that's 6 decks right there. So Yeah, maybe you don't bring green blue, but you have a lot of options, and you should definitely play something you're comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah, like I blacked out, I play green purple and I like that deck. I like how it plays. But like just for us to prepare for CL coming up, like we've just been playing different decks against each other just to see how it plays and just get more reps in, you know?
Yeah, it's really beneficial to play decks. I mean, if you can get the time to play, I mean, all the decks, you learn, maybe how your main deck can attack that deck
Exactly.
in a way that you didn't understand before. Or like, when you're sitting there and you're blue red and you're running low on cards and you start realizing how tricky it can be to navigate some of the situations, now if you're the other person, you might kind of identify it better and be like, oh, this game they're running low on cards, so maybe actually, I could win this way instead, or whatever it is. But
Right,
there's
right.
a lot to gain, timing, stuff like that. I think a lot of people could benefit from just playing some red purple. It's a
And
deck
some
that you'll
different
probably
lines.
see for a while, and it's been pretty much the same now for like 3 sets. And if you play the lines, you'll see the lines more obvious when you're against them, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, it makes sense.
So talking about Seattle, you're going to Seattle, right?
Yep.
Awesome. What do you think the top couple decks are going to be there, at least in quantity? Maybe not quality, but quantity.
Yeah, so I think that red blue is still going to be one of the most popular decks, if not the most. I think it's going to be the most popular deck still, and then probably Emerald Steel, and then red purple, and then amber steel, and then green purple, I guess, and then whatever other colors, green yellow aggro, green yellow discard. Probably like the next two decks, blue steel in there somewhere. Theoretically, blue steel should see some increase in interest because it's been traditionally good against green steel, maybe better than red blue is against green steel. Um,
Knowing that that's the
yeah,
breakdown, are you going to attack your deck any different in order to combat some of that, or are you going to stick with your tried and true and run that?
yeah. I mean, I'm probably just gonna play as it stands right now the popular green steel deck. Whether I play, I mentioned some of the flex spots earlier, and I'm just undecided on kind of where those might go. But in general, if you want to be better versus red blue, you probably can play less muses, more hypnotize. Tinkerbell's fine, but not great. So adding that is whatever. Versus adding Tinkerbell is good in the mirror, good versus aggro. Morph into Pete into Shift Tink is just like a strong line against a decent amount of the decks that aren't controlly. So it's kind of I'm just not decided on what I want to do, but it's basically going to be within 4 cards of my deck I registered in Vegas. I don't think a lot has changed other than I played 4 muses in Vegas, and I probably won't play 4 of those. The card is good in the mirror, but it's really where it shines is against Amber Steel, and there's less and less of that going around.
Hmm.
It really feels like Steel Song is starting to fall off a little bit now that Emerald Steel's back in full force.
Yeah, I think that there's ways to build your Amber Steel to be better against Green Steel and potentially even Red Blue at the same time, but it's tricky. I haven't spent that much time thinking about it because I'm just not going to worry about it because I'm going to play Green Steel. But in general, I think the Robin Hood shift line is less desirable than the Queen shift line versus Green Steel. So that's somewhere I would probably look if I was playing that color.
One thing that I've noticed about kind of the green steel is that when different people play it, it really shows more of a skill gap of general TCG. Do you see that as well, or are you seeing it's more like, I don't know, Steel Song, where you could kind of pilot it no matter what.
Yeah. Even with the Bucky deck, and I realized, like, you just play Bucky and play Floodborns and they discard their whole hand. There's a lot of, I think, intricacies in the early turns. I think one of the big things is with the green deck is that you get to look at their hand with Diablo or Ursula too. So, something that a lot of people aren't doing is like keeping the option of what, like maybe traditionally in this matchup or whatever, you want to do this Ursula 3-drop instead of this other 3-drop, but then you look at their hand and you actually want to do the other card, whether it's a 2-drop, whether you're playing Diablo on 1 and you're choosing which 2 to keep, like Morph Ursula 2-drop, or which 2 to play rather. Like just not inking one of those on turn 1 because you just figure you're going to play Morph, and like keeping the option when you see their hand. There's just a lot to gain from seeing their hand. And since you run so many different 3-drops, you can kind of tailor. You need to make sure you're tailoring your game plan constantly, because if you decide to like ink a Muses early and then you look at their hand and it was actually good against their hand, like you can pay the price. But I think moreover, just like looking at their hand and realizing like, oh, maybe I don't actually have to play Ursula on 3. I can play Prince John because they have a Zeus Bolt or a Raging Fire. So then I can just like, use the Ursula as ink now on turn 2. And then actually I'm just never playing Ursula, but I kept this beast 5-cost sad beast in my hand instead of inking it. I looked at their hand and knew that like actually the Ursula wasn't going to be helpful. Yeah, I mean, I didn't lay that situation out the best, but the main takeaway is just like green steel players just keeping your options open for later in the game and not like inking them away. I just see a lot of people like ink the beast because it's like, oh, it's on turn 5 and I don't know what I'm going to do on turn 3 yet. But you can like save the beast, maybe ink and Muses, play a Diablo 1, then look at their hand and then realize like, well, you're never actually going to play this Ursula 3 or whatever, a song, Raging Fire, whatever it is. Stuff like that I think helps. Just anytime you're going to have Diablo where it's like you discard a card and then it can cast a song and then your 3-drop's going to cast a song, those decisions can just be hard where you're using 5 cards in one turn for people, and there's a lot of that in green steel.
It's like you have to plan a few turns ahead of yourself.
At the least. I mean, if you really
At
want
the
to,
least.
shine with the deck, for sure. A lot of people, I'm a conservative mulliganer, but a lot of people will try to hard mull for like Diablo combos and stuff. But I think that, like I said, Ursula 3 is like one of my favorite cards. So there's a lot of times where you can keep her with the right mix of spells and kind of cover your bases.
So when you're practicing, trying to get all these reps in against all these other ones, how many people would you say, I am assuming you have a little bit of a team, how many people are on your team that you kind of practice with now that we don't have the online client anymore?
Yeah, I'm not personally part of any team, but I do have like some people I play against. I think that once you've played enough and you feel like you have a good handle, there's a lot more to be gained from just reading and consuming what other people are doing. So you just have a better idea of what you can like go and expecting. Earlier, I watched a video where people, Kendall, whoever, were talking about red purple. It's like, I don't plan on playing red purple, but that's probably a better use of my time than like playing games against red purple at this point.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I know that's a popular player of the deck, so pretty much anybody who's super serious who's going to go to the tournament will probably have watched it, and then I kind of get a better grasp on what they're trying to think about or think that they can find advantages in their matchup. This is just content. There's also discords where people are posting. I'm part of a bigger discord called the Lounge, and I play some people in there occasionally, but there's like over 80 people in there just posting. It's not like it's 20, it's big as 20 lore, but it's sizable, and just reading people's thoughts, I think goes a long way for me. I would say honestly, most of the time I'm play testing, at least right now, it's for other people, giving them reps against whatever deck that they need to play against.
Awesome.
You got a question?
I don't know. I feel like I'm not that prepared now for Seattle.
What deck do you play?
Green
Green purple,
purple.
you said?
Yeah. So, and like I feel like I know my deck very well, but I think I need to learn some more cards, more different strategies.
I mean,
But
the thing about it is like, no matter how good you are, how prepared you are, it's still a card game at the end of the day, and that's part of the beauty. It's
right.
like, anybody can beat anybody, and you don't need to be the best or put the most time in to have a chance. Yeah, there's plenty of
Yeah,
people
and
who have success without, doing those things.
yeah, and I am like fairly new to TCG. So like we started playing Magic like basically a year ago, and then Lorcana came out. And we got into that. So it's I'm still learning just how TCGs work. So this is going to be my first like big tournament. I've been
Mm-hmm.
doing the set championships, and I went to Chicago, but I was just an attendee, so
Mm-hmm.
feeling the pressure right now.
Yeah, my girlfriend was gonna go and play in Seattle, but she decided not to. Maybe next year. I mean, it's a big. It's honestly, it's just important just to go and have fun. I mean, it's for a lot of people, it's kind of just wild to see 2,000 people sitting down playing the game.
Right.
Um, yeah, it's a good time. I wouldn't put too much pressure on doing well. I try not to do that even for myself. Like, I'm not the kind of person who's going to get dejected over a placement or something like that. I think it's just I play the game because I enjoy it, and I think that feeds into sometimes you'll be more excited and want to play a bunch, and you'll be better prepared, and sometimes you'll be less prepared. But as long as you're not going just because you think you're going to win, or winning is
Right.
important, I think you'll leave happy you went. It's a nice community.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's what I love about the whole Orkana thing is it is so inviting and everyone is there to have fun and obviously wedding's a bonus, but it is just a good community that's welcoming and anyone can do it and no one's gonna make fun of me when I do something dumb.
For me, it was since the pandemic and stuff. It's like the first thing that's getting me consistently out of the house. So just that has been great, honestly.
One of the fun mind tricks that Jackie kind of does is at the beginning when you cut the other person's deck, then they mull. Then when you go to cut their deck again, she'll, especially against me, will wait for me to pick up half of her deck and then say, "No, you're good. I don't need to cut again," and plays mind tricks on you like that. Do you do any kind of fun mind tricks or prep before any of the matches that you have?
No, not really. But I don't. At a DLC, I'm going to like cut the person's deck and all that good stuff. But locally, I don't worry about shuffling or cutting. Not that you shouldn't. I just don't. And there's definitely people who think it's kind of weird, or they like feel a type of way. They're like, I cut your deck, like you should cut my deck, like And then one guy was like, I hate when you don't cut my deck because then it's like I dealt myself this bad hand, and I can't even blame it on you. And I thought that was an interesting angle.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like I just don't. I just feel like if I cut your deck, I'm more likely to get sick.
There you go.
Like
True.
I don't even need to touch your cards. Like we're fine. It's just a local event.
I did just get fresh sleeves, so they shouldn't be that dirty yet.
I replace my sleeves the night before, the morning of every time I go to play at a big event. It's just not worth the chance that like something's wrong with them or
Sure.
they're used or whatever. I mean, it's not as big of a deal in Lorcana, but in other games, like I feel like they're a little bit more strict on the sleeves and quality of the sleeves and stuff. And sometimes if you have older sleeves, they'll be like, these ones are all bent and you need to replace them.
Yeah, I've
And
definitely
then
heard of that.
It's some things like that.
I had to replace a sleeve in Chicago. I had to replace a sleeve in Vegas. So it happens even when you buy new sleeves.
Right.
Dragon Shields.
Spring extras.
Yeah, I do. No, I just buy 100 pack and then I keep the other 40 of like a 2-sided deck box. So
I want to know your favorite match you've ever played, kind of the gameplay of it, what made it memorable, and I also want to know like how it felt winning Chicago. Let's kind of run through that kind of stuff.
yeah, those questions probably tie into each other, huh? My favorite match from my favorite match is probably going to be one I played in. I mean, winning the DLC is obviously a huge accomplishment, but I also won one of the online pack events, and those were stacked as well. An online Pixel Born tournament, and they're also worldwide. So a couple games I've played in that I've enjoyed, but that was also with the digital game, not the physical. My favorite match I've played so far is probably the match where I won the Mickey, not even the match where I won the tournament. In the finals, I played against someone I knew from Hearthstone. I hadn't seen him for probably a few years at least. Jordan, he was playing green purple. It was fun, but honestly, a lot of the stress. I don't feel too much stress, but if I was going to, it would have happened for the Mickey. But the match where I
Yep.
won the Mickey, I got to play against Red Purple. Is it Albert Garcia? Yeah, I played against him, and he was playing Red Purple, which I think was a great matchup for me. I know the Red Purple players had been on the strategy where they weren't going to discard, or they were try to keep their hand as healthy as they can. Maybe not even play cards. Try to play all the draw spells that they have and not get their hand discarded against the Bucky Green Steel. But I really like. It just goes back to the Ursula. Like I think that the Ursula 3 cost Deceiver Evolve with the Steel Songs is just so good versus Red Purple, especially with the discard package. They they can't interact with Prince John before turn 7. So I'd say probably like that match. I was just in the driver's seat the whole time, and I wasn't ever worried about losing. It was great because it's the match that's for the most, so to speak. I mean, winning's great, but winning the Mickey in particular, which happens before winning the tournament, ironically, is just a huge relief. I've played for matches in other games that were for similar amounts of money, but it was never in a physical card game. So it was hopefully not once in a lifetime, but it was a great experience. That match in particular, I just felt like everything was in my control. Not only was my draw good, but it just everything was lining up, and yeah, I was able to keep his hand pretty low, and he did a good job, I think, in game 3. But yeah,
Super cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's an awesome feeling, especially in that big of a game.
yeah. I mean, when like, don't get me wrong, like I could go through the lines in the game or whatever, but like honestly, it's just the main takeaway for me was it just feels great when your deck is clicking and it doesn't, and like you look at the board and you're like, you know what I could use right now, and then it just shows up, and it's
Hmm.
it's it's not really like taking the easy way out, but it just feels good when it's all coming up positive for you.
what number Mickey were you?
264.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, I could have gone for a higher number. I think I've seen a list. No one's been given anything less than 300 or more than 300. So 264, not the best number, but it was. No, that was the biggest win I've ever had in a card game in my life. So it was just. Um, Honestly, I still like barely feel like I won it. um, Maybe it'll hit me eventually when I go to Continentals. They also haven't. Like I took a picture with the trophy, but I don't have a trophy. I think I'm gonna get a trophy soon. So maybe when I get the trophy and I put it behind me where I work, then I'll start
It'll finally sink in.
feeling like a champion. Yeah. I'm always just focused on the next tournament. Right now for Seattle, I'm excited, and I think Greenfield's in a good position, but I'm still looking forward to Continentals, which is we've
Right.
received a little bit of information about, but I lived in California for a couple of years, so going back there and seeing some of my friends and stuff, it's going to be a good time. So, as well as I think the European one's a month before the North American one, and then that month is Christmas. So it's probably a pretty big lull period for development in the game, and then obviously the new set will be out for a month ish, a little bit less for the European tournament. So it should be interesting to see how it develops. But I think that this is going to be a decent opportunity for some NA players to cook up unique decks. Hopefully, one of the things I want, even though things are going well for me, is that I feel like a lot of it so far has been like, oh, this archetype got upgraded and we threw a couple cards in, and I'm hoping that maybe we can get like a new type of deck
Yeah.
with the next set.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Let's shake up the meta.
Red blue is a little bit more efficient. Red blue, green steel. It doesn't have Bucky, but it's still got a 2-drop that's like morph, and the deck's kind of centered around it, and it's doing a lot of the same stuff still, and it's still discarding your hand. Like 40 cards are the same or whatever. And then Amber Steel do what it's doing a little bit more efficiently, and then red purple kind of just the same, and then it has like the library, and it gets to run the 1-drop suite because of that. And yeah, I don't know, just some new strategy, even if it's in the popular colors. I haven't got to see all the spoilers yet, but I know some people are excited when a couple of the cards revealed.
So when you go to Continentals, how do you think you're going to prepare for that? And is there anything different you're going to do compared to a regular DLC since it is Continentals?
Yeah, probably try to get back up to at least 4 hours a day of playing. For me personally, should be easy to do. I'm considering going and traveling for like a week to someone who I can play against for like a week straight, who's also going. Definitely, I would say it's way more serious than a DLC. I mean, I already have my invite, so that helps take the DLCs not so seriously. But yeah, for me, it'll be even Chicago, which I prepped for a lot, not as much as I prepped for Atlanta. I think that this will probably be the most I'll prepare. I mean, just face value, the players are better, but there's only whatever the number ends up being. Let's just say 128. I don't know what the number is. I know they're giving 32 more spots, but I don't know what the number is. It's a smaller tournament. There's basically more in prizing since it's phase 2 of the circuit, let's say. So it's worth it to invest the time. And I don't know like what all you'll get for Worlds, or I really don't know more than you about any of that. But it would be awesome to win Continentals, get to represent the Americas in Worlds, and hopefully do well there. So that's kind of, even right now, I'd say I'm more relaxed, knowing that like the end of December, which is great because that's like a downtime for me in my work. Because I work in esports, and gaming also takes a break then for like the holidays. So I should have a lot of free time on my hands, hopefully.
That'll be nice for one.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely rooting for you, that's for sure. Unless we make it ourselves, but we'll still be rooting for you.
Yeah, I'm rooting for you to make it and to just do well in Seattle and have a good time. I think that I've had a couple friends who just started playing TCGs, and they've gone to a couple of them have gone to the DLCs. And they've had a great time, and then they always honestly the biggest worry you should have is that you want to go back to the next one because it's not cheap.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Stacking up money real quick.
Yeah, you really you can definitely if you go like I went to the last couple with my partner, and it's making it more of a trip too. It's been awesome. But it's also been more money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've never been to Seattle before, and we got a couple friends out there, so we're doing the whole extended weekend.
I lived in Seattle for like 2 years, from 2020 to 2022. They moved up for the pandemic. I miss most the ramen, and that is what I'm most excited to go back for, honestly. I already I'm only there from Friday morning to Sunday night, but I already got like every food restaurant picked out. I'm a big foodie, so
Love it.
definitely check if you're into ramen. Check some ramen out while you're there. I'm sure your friends have places picked. There's just so much good food in Seattle.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. I do enjoy food.
I have to
And then
try
the
that.
coffee too. So
Is there anything else that you would like to say about the game? Any tips you want to give to new people or seasoned people?
yeah, nothing in particular. Just touch back on what I said before, and some words for Jackie. Just don't put too much pressure on performing well. I really think that takes away from the experience, and I see people do that too much.
I'll
It'll be
try.
fun.
I'll try. No promises though. No, I think once I get like the first game under my belt, it'll be smooth sailing. But up until then, I'll be a nervous wreck.
Hey, the green purple, you just need to get some games against red blue. Just I mean, part of making it to day two is always just seeing the right matchups. So
Right.
you sit down, another red blue player. That's a win.
Yep.
Do you like your matchup versus red blue?
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. It's my favorite.
She beats me in every set champ that we go to.
Where do you play?
We play at a couple different card shops. One of them is Loot in Whitmore Lake. The other one is Game & Co. in Walled Lake. And then I also play at Upkeep in Howell.
Okay,
So,
nice.
and we've been moving around for the set championships. So,
Yeah, I made it up to where was it? Lake City.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I made it up there for the last one, but not this one, unfortunately. There's just so many game stores in Michigan. It's hard
Right.
to. I know there's people who want me to go to the other side of the state, but it's just it's not worth it. There's way more players over there. There's a lot of good players over there. We have good players here too, but
And
I'll
what
have to
area are
sometime.
you?
Grand Rapids.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So we're Detroitish side.
Yep. Yeah. I haven't. The first time that they run like if they start doing larger tournaments and they put one at Pandemonium. I'm trying to think of what city it's in there in Detroit, but I haven't played there in like a decade. But I'm excited for the first Arcana tournament there. Hopefully they run one soon. That's bigger because
Sweet.
I haven't been to the other side. I just don't get to go to Detroit that often, but I wish I had more of a reason to. So hopefully they start running some bigger events. I would just like some more regional events in general. The set champs are nice, but
Wish we had like a state championship almost.
yeah, a
Oh,
lot of
that'd be
games
fun.
eventually add that. I think part of the reason why you see it less frequently is because it's like, okay, we gave the U.S. state champs, but what did we do for other people?
Right.
It's the Euro Continentals, but should there be a Germany Nationals? Is that the same as the U.S. Nationals? Is there a step below that? And yeah, I think it's hard to like blanket apply a system that includes the states, but they had that magic, and I loved it, and it's cool going to. I'm a huge Michigan stan, so I wouldn't
All
mind being
right.
like the champion of Michigan or something. That'd be cool.
Running up at
Awesome.
Gamers Gambit in Lake City was kind of nervous waiting to see if you were going to show up for set champs a couple weeks back. So
Yeah, I think I went to Grand Haven that day. Sidekick Toys. It's a nice store too. I went to Lake City. It was nice up there. The store is great. The owners were awesome.
yeah,
They had honestly they streamed. It streamed. The games were like recorded on YouTube, and it's like there's plenty of stores in the major areas that have like way more people and stuff, and they don't even care to record or stream it. And it was cool, so I got to go back and watch my. I like reviewing my games. It's harder to do that in Lorcana than it was in Hearthstone, where it's like everything's. If the game wasn't recorded, like on a stream, then you have like software running that records all your games.
Oh,
So you
sure.
always get to go back and do your replays, but you don't get that opportunity as much. And I think that one of the things for me is that you can play a whole game of Lorcana and not learn anything, and it's better to find interesting moments and spend time thinking through them. You can get like good development out of one game situation that's interesting, but you could play 3 games where you learn nothing. So I really appreciated that store recorded it because one of my matches was interesting. I actually went back and learned something. It's great.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Good luck in Seattle, and even more importantly, good luck at Continentals.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and good luck to y'all too.
Yep.
Hopefully, I'll
Thanks
see
so
you
much.
there.
Again, we want to thank Brian for spending some time with us and chit-chatting. It was wonderful to have you on. We're going to hop right into what we did this week in Lorcana. Jackie, what did you do this week in Lorcana?
I played in my first set 5 championship, and not too bad. Didn't get a Mirabelle, but still fun. Met some good people. Went to a new shop, so that's always great. What did you do in Lorcana this week, Dakota?
I went to 2 different set champs. Didn't win a Maribel in either, but that's okay. I had a lot of fun. Got to hang out with a lot of our friends, see a lot of people, talk to a lot of people,
Yeah.
learn a bunch of new decks.
At least we didn't play each other this time.
We didn't play each other this time, so that was
Knock
good.
on wood for tomorrow.
That's all we have for today. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you guys real soon.
And remember, it's a great day to have a great day.